Welcome back to Superstar Glam. Today's video is a review on the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 Rose Eyeshadow Palette. I picked my palette up during the sale, the VIB sale, and I created this look. But before we jump into that, if you haven't yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and click the little button down below. And while you're there, click the little notification bell. That way you're alerted every time I upload a video. And if you're interested and my final thoughts on this palette, then just keep watching. At this point, just know that I've primed my eyes with the MAC Pro Longwear Paint Pot in Soft Ochre. Here is the Major Dimension 2 from Patrick Ta. This is what it looks like inside. It has two cream shadows right here, and then mattes this row and shimmers on this row. I am not new to the brand. I have used other of his products, but I am new to the eyeshadow palette. I did not pick up the first palette he launched, but I have tried like the contour duo, the blush duo. What else? I think that's it. And so far from the products I've tried, I really have been enjoying his products. I'm not sure if there's names on these. Oh, there are. Okay, so I don't know which way they are facing or what order they're in, but I'm going to assume that the shade I'm going to go into is called Crush, and it's this matte light shade right here. I'm going to use this color for the crease, and so far it's really pigmented. One of the things that I look for in a palette, if it's universal, meaning soft shades like this, if they are not pigmented, they won't show up on my skin tone. But this is definitely a really nice, like, I would say like a peachy rose color. Really, really pretty. The next shade is the one next to it, Amore. I'm gonna try to stay in the berries. Ooh, this one's really nice too. Super pigmented, and it definitely complements the transition color. That's nice. To be honest with you, I was not excited over the recent palette launches. They're all in the mauve rose gold type of tones. The last time I picked up a palette that was like a rose gold theme was the Urban Decay Naked 3, if I'm not mistaken. And although Urban Decay has really good quality shadows, I felt like that palette was one of those palettes where there wasn't enough contrast between them, so they all ended up blending into like one color, or at least that's how they were coming up on mine skin tone. That's why I'm saying that when there's like light shades like this, they're either pigmented enough to come through, or they're not. And that's kind of, it just fell short for me for that Urban Decay palette. And I guess that just has me thinking that it's impossible to have like a rose gold or light shades like this and be able to pull it off to where it accommodates a lot of different skin tones. Like, this is really nice so far. Really, I don't know, I really am enjoying it. It's a light wash. Even if I wanted to keep it in this tone, it actually looks really, really nice. And I'm really enjoying this so far. Yesterday's palette that I tried, If you haven't yet seen that video, I will link it up here in this card. That's also a mauve palette from Artist Couture, and I was not a fan. Spoiler alert, but definitely go check it out so you can see for yourself how that palette performed. I'm going to go in with a smaller brush. And the next shade over, it's starting to kind of be more of like a mauve plummy type of shade, but I'm going to skip it to the next shade over, which starts to be more of like a red tone. It looks kind of like a burgundy. I'm picking it up on a really small fluffy brush, and I'm using it to add dimension. I'm also applying it to this outside corner, and that shade name is, I think, Passion. Just going over the edges. Definitely want to build it up to its intensity before applying the shimmer. I have not seen any videos of this palette, so I don't know what these cream shadows, I don't know if they're shadows or not, but I don't know how they're supposed to be used. I'm going to take the deep brown one, Unfaithful, and I'm going to use this. So what I'm going to use them for is to try to deepen this outside corner, and so I'm applying it over that shades I already. Okay, it's super pigmented and it blends out really nicely. Yeah, I'm going to apply it here to deepen this outer corner. And then I'm going to go back into that reddish tone of Passion. I guess seal it because it does feel wet. It's a very creamy consistency. I don't know if that's the purpose of that cream, but it definitely intensified and deepened this color for sure. I'm going to go back to Amore and go over the edges. Then I'm going to take the fluffy brush and the next shade, the first shade we use, Crush, and just use this to help blend out. Man, it blends out so nicely. Let me finish up the rest of the eye so that we can see what the next step is. Okay, so I'm about to apply the shimmer, and we'll see what kind of consistency this is, if you can actually apply it directly with a brush, if you have to use a finger or wet your brush. I'm taking the shade Desire. Okay, it's not lifting, so I guess I do have to use, hold on. Okay, so the brush I was using might have been too flimsy. This one is a real packing brush. This is a Makeup Forever 228 brush, and usually I don't have any problems with this brush. Okay, it did not work. So the way I'm going to try this is by wetting my brush. It looks like a really creamy consistency. Okay, I wet my brush. Okay, it's okay. So, I'm just going to try my finger. Yeah, there's definitely this is a finger application, and it works really nicely. And no fallout. So you get the pigment and you get the shimmer with this formula, and there's not, just a very minimal, nothing compared to the palette I tried yesterday. Can you see that? It's like a rose gold with gold shimmer flecks. Really pretty color. This is exactly what I was hoping that Artist Couture palette was going to look like a really heavy shimmer on the eye, but like I said, without the fallout. Yeah, so all of these, no, not all of them, maybe 3 out of the 5 shimmers have like a shift on the shade. Okay, I'm going to apply another shimmer next to that. Okay, I'm going to apply Lust. This one's like a pink with gold flecks. Really pretty color too. Ooh, yes. Wow, that's really pretty. I hope this one doesn't irritate my eye. Okay, this one's starting to have a little bit of fallout, but not a lot. The Artist Couture had really fine particles and it irritated my eye. Okay, and then the third shade I'm going to use is Adore. And I'm just going to apply this to the inner since it is the lightest. I'm going to try that one with a brush and then I'm going to wet it. The consistency was a little bit more flexible, so I was able to pick it up with this brush. Oh wow, this one's really pretty. And then light and reflective. And this one was brush friendly. Just as long as you have a good packing brush and wet it so that you don't have a ton of fallout. Finish the other eye and then I'll come back for my final thoughts. So this is the completed look using the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 Rose Eyeshadow Palette. Overall, I did love this palette. It retails for $68 and you can find it at Sephora. I did snag this during the Sephora VIB sale, so I did get a discount 15% off, which I'm actually pretty surprised that there were several brands that launched their new products during the event. Typically they wait until after the sale to release them, but so yeah, I'm actually really excited that I was able to save on this palette. But I can tell you this, I was definitely impressed. For me being the first time trying out his eyeshadow formulas, I was really, really impressed, especially the mattes and the shimmers. It definitely feels high quality and worth the $68. So based on the shadows that I played with were this entire row except for the last shade, which is like a plummy shade. And for the shimmers, I did not use this one or this last one or the cream shadow, or I don't know if that's what they're calling it, but I can tell you one thing from swatching these shimmers. All the shimmers do have different consistency. So this one I feel is this deeper shade is the creamiest, but also the less intense, if I could say that. It's definitely, it gives you more of like the intense pigment and kind of like that wet look. It's a really, really nice formula. And the next shade also has the soft, wet, creamy formula, except that it has much more shimmer. It does have a little bit of fallout, but it's nothing that you can't control or maybe just prevent by putting powder under the eye. Once we start getting to the next shade, the consistency starts being a little bit drier. It's not as creamy. It starts being a little bit more grittier. So I feel like it has a little bit more of the shimmer and also has a little tiny bit more fallout than this next shade. This third one, I think out of all of them, I think this is probably the driest formula. I mean, they're all still really pretty, but as far as consistency, it probably has the driest. And then you go into the shimmer. This shimmer actually reminds me of the collab between Joseph Colors and Desi and Katie. They came out with a shade very, very similar to this. The color and also the consistency and the instructions to use that particular shade was that you had to apply it on a wet brush. It's kind of how it works, and it gives you the most color payoff and the most intensity. So it is what I applied in the inner corner, so it did give me that pop and shimmer, but it was definitely very, very similar to that formula from Dose of Colors in that collab. Ultimately, it's kind of what I look for. It gives you just the right amount of shimmer, but very fine glitter. And the colors are really, really beautiful. In terms of the mattes, there was nothing bad that I can say. The formula is really nice. It's what you expect when you're paying top dollars. Very soft, very buttery. There is a bit of kickoff, but nothing too bad. Yeah, all of the shades are just really soft and they blend out seamlessly. There was no issues with none of the shades. It actually blended out really, really nicely. They're so soft and buttery and blend out really easily that you can blend off the intensity of the color. So all you have to do is just kind of go back in and re-intensify it, but they apply really nicely. I really want to play a little bit more with the cream formula, but so far what I did apply or how I applied it, I had no issues. It actually works really, really nicely to intensify. I think it's a good addition. Like if you wanted to have like a really nice smoky rose tone look, this is definitely how you can do it. I didn't really test it, but that's probably how it's meant to be used, as like a base so that these shimmers have something to stick on. And if that's the case, then that's definitely a really good addition. But overall, I was really, really impressed. And like I said, I think the tip to use this palette or the shimmers is to either use your fingers or a wet brush to apply it, because I think it's going to perform better versus trying it with a dry brush. Also, the tip number 2 would be to apply powder under the eye to catch the fallout. But like I said, the fallout was not bad at all for the amount of shine and shimmer that these shadows have. Overall, I think I really love this palette. I think I'm going to be dipping into it. And if this is similar to the first palette, it definitely makes me want to run and get his first palette. I know it's a basic neutral shades, but for the formula, I think it would be totally worth it. But yes, I definitely approve and I recommend this palette if you're interested or if you were debating on whether you should get it or not. I think it's a nice and a very good quality palette. I don't think you will be disappointed unless, of course, the shadows and the shimmers intimidate you and how to play with them. I don't think you will be disappointed. Let me know down in the comment section whether you would like to see another look using this palette. Other than that, I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that it was helpful for you. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you next time. Bye.